Let's talk about why it's so hard. Just kidding. Let's talk about why it's so easy to feel lost in life. I'm excited today to share with you Segal's law, which states, a man with a watch knows what time it is. A man with two watches is never sure. This suggests that the more data you obtain, the greater the likelihood that it will conflict with what you already know, thus complicating the process. So if you are feeling lost in your life, you're feeling stuck in a less than ideal situation with no idea how to move forward, it is likely in part due to the fact that there is hundreds, if not thousands, of opinions, side hustle ideas, suggestions, influences being presented to you on a daily basis. So let's talk about how to break free from what I'm calling the infinite choices dilemma. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mindset Matters, the podcast where we choose to live with purpose and grow with intention. This podcast often explores themes of presence, gratitude, and resilience. My name is Vic. I'm a psychology graduate, a teacher, and a certified life coach, and I'm here to share my opinion and perspectives on how powerful your mindset can be when creating the life you want to live. If you've been feeling stuck and you're ready to reconnect with yourself and get back on track, you can download my free, simple 3-step guide to getting unstuck and discovering your true passions for free at mindsetmatterswithvic.com. So we're going to break today's episode down in a few ways. I think I have like 3 kind of subcategories that I want to get into. The first is access to information and decision paralysis. Why is it so hard to make decisions these days? Why is it so hard to know what you want and therefore feel completely lost? Okay. The second thing we're going to get into is influencer culture and social media, and how the internet and the access to all the opinions and information we have really affects us. Not always for the better, but also not always in a terrible way. So we're going to be kind of trying to look at things, pros and cons, as I like to do. I try to expand my own perspectives and research articles that sometimes disagree with what I first thought coming into this, because I think it's important to be able to learn new things and expand your horizons a little bit. And then the last kind of category or thing we're going to explore today is how to really know yourself, how to actually break free from this infinite choices dilemma and make decisions that do feel true to who you are. So, Segal's law, I'm going to read that again. It says, a man with a watch knows what time it is. A man with 2 watches is never sure. So this idea that the more information you have, the more options you have, the more data that's presented to you, the more likely you are to feel actually confused and not know what is true. I mean, is it even possible to have absolute truth, right? Is it possible to be absolutely sure of something, of our beliefs, of our conflicts, of the way we view the world or the way the world views us, right? It's hard to get to this absolute truth in things and know concretely that everything or certain things are true. So I think with this kind of infinite choices dilemma, having so much access to information makes it even harder to find our truth. So let's kind of get into this whole access to information, decision paralysis. I heard recently, and I haven't verified this, I tried looking this up, but it was not completely sure to me if this is true. We're off to a bad start. I'm sharing something that might be false, but I have heard that the amount of information that's available to us is actually doubling each year at this point. With the amount of articles, new videos, new opinions, everything that's surfacing, like there's literally double the information than the year before. And if you think about that, that's crazy. Like the rate at which technology and everything is evolving is just so fast. It's so crazy. We can't keep up. And I mean, ultimately, like this access to information hinders our ability to make decisions. Okay, that's kind of my argument here, is that yes, on one hand, it's great to have access to information and to be able to look up things quickly. But again, going back to this idea of Segal's law, it's like, depending on what you search, you're going to get different results. If I search, benefits of eating an apple a day, I'm going to get an article or articles suggested to me talking about how healthy apples are and how good for you they can be. But on the other hand, if I Google eating too many apples, or apples are bad for you, or studies that show apples are not healthy, like, I'm going to get information that aligns with the perspective that I'm putting out into the world. So I think in this way, our access to information is always a little bit skewed, right? We know that the algorithm, especially the algorithm, as if there's one, but algorithms are designed to pick up on our habits so that they can feed us more of what we are engaged with, right? This is the crazy thing about the TikTok algorithm, is it's really freaking good. It's really good at what it's designed to do, which is to analyze, what content you're most engaged with, and it's going to feed you more of that. If you've ever noticed, if you've ever been on TikTok versus YouTube Shorts algorithm is still not that great. I mean, sometimes I honestly don't scroll on there a lot, but I think when you do, it's pretty random, the types of videos that you can jump through. Whereas on TikTok, it tends to be pretty sequential. It tends to be a lot of the same type of content. That's on purpose. That is to feed us more of the information that we already know we want. So this can make us believe more that there's more truth to the things that we already think. I hope that makes sense. Like, if you have a belief that apples are bad and my algorithm is just keep sharing reasons that apples are bad for you, then in my head, I'm like, wow, there's so much research. There's so much content out there affirming my belief that apples are bad. And same on the other hand, if apples are good and you're going to get content relating to why apples are the best fruit in the world, it makes you almost biased to the fact that you think that that's the only content that exists. Okay, so I think having this access to information, like, on one hand, yes, our algorithms feed us a lot of the same, but we also are always being exposed to new ideas. We're always being exposed to different types of information. And again, it makes it hard to make decisions, because how do you know what to do when you want to try everything? There's too many options. If you Google, the best hobbies for late 20s women, I'm going to get a list of a lot of different hobbies. And how do I know what to pick? What if I feel like there's 10 options that all sound okay? How do I know what is going to be a fun hobby for me? Right? So I think it's like this access to information gives us this decision paralysis where we feel overwhelmed. We're like, I don't know what to do. There's too many freaking options out there. On this same topic, I do want to look at the pros of trying a lot of different things, okay? Because I don't think that you should always just do what you've always done, and the access to a lot of information in a positive way can give us options to try new things. Maybe you hear about a sport that you've never heard of. You hear about a new hobby that you never would have considered, but there's classes in your area, right? Like, there can be pros to this access of information. There is a book called Range. I think it's David Epstein is the author, but he talks about how having range and testing out different things is actually kind of a superpower, because you can look at things from different angles. And he visits a lot of different areas of life. He talks about sports, he talks about in business, he talks about in science, how having range and having the experience of trying a lot of different things is actually beneficial. But I would argue you have to almost know what is worth trying out, because if you just want to try everything, then you either have decision paralysis or you try to test out literally everything under the sun, and that's going to take you forever to actually make a choice on what you like. So kind of the con of this, of having these infinite options, or this, crazy access to information, is that we don't know what opinions to follow, right? We can feel really disconnected from our true self, and we don't really know what we want, right? And I think so many people feel this, where they're like, I don't know what I want. Do I want A or B? I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere with this, but do I completely change everything and do this instead? Or do I have to go back to school? Or, what does my ideal life look like? Like, I have literally no idea. And then you just turn to outside forces to kind of help you make those decisions. And we are going to talk a little bit more on like how to know what's worth testing a bit later. Another book I want to share is Essentialism, which is the disciplined pursuit of less, how to do less but do it better, by 𝐓𝐘𝐒. And he talks about how there is an exploration phase that is necessary to figure out what you want, but being an essentialist helps you to be mindful about what to actually test out rather than just testing everything. And every opinion you hear, you're like, oh, I want to do that, or let's try this, or okay, let me sign up for that. And ultimately, like I said, trying to test everything would just probably be a waste of time and might make you feel even more lost. So we'll get into how to connect more with yourself and figure out what is worth testing a little bit later. So moving on to influencer culture and social media. My argument here is that seeing what everyone else is doing all of the time makes us feel more lost. Okay, seeing what everyone else is doing is going to make you compare what you're doing to what they're doing and think maybe you're not doing the right things, you're not doing enough, you have FOMO. Okay, I was looking up different articles kind of about this whole decision paralysis and social media and how influencers really do have a huge part in our decision making in terms of, purchasing products. And I mean, why do influencers get paid so much? Well, because they literally can help any company make a lot of money because of their following and their fan base. Some people are so influential, like they could talk about anything and their audience will go and buy that thing without even a second thought. So, upon this kind of research, I don't necessarily want to dive into, the marketing scheme of it all, but I saw articles talking about feeling lost in your 20s and linked that to social media use and how social media makes us unhappy, which really included a lot on social comparison and things like the fear of missing out. And again, this fear that we're always doing the wrong thing or we're not doing enough. I think this is a big one that I want to touch on for a second is social media can make us feel like we're not doing enough. And what I love about essentialism is that it's all about not trying to do everything and to just become more aware of what you really want and doing that and focusing your efforts on that one thing that lights you up, that feels good to you, that you can really contribute in the highest way possible. I think social media makes us think everybody is doing all of these amazing things. Of course, we all share our highlights on there. And it can make us feel lost. It can make us feel like we have no idea what we're doing or that we're doing the wrong thing, no matter what. And if you take a step back, which I've actually done, I took Instagram off my phone probably for about 5 days now. Like it hasn't been that long. But just having the app off my phone, I literally forgot about it within 24 hours. Like I didn't miss it. There was no part of me that was like, oh, I miss going on there, which is honestly kind of good because I know how addicted we all are to social media. But for me, it's just like a distraction. When it's on my phone, I just open it. And, it's like I just have this love-hate with social media in general. But I think taking a step away from it makes me realize just how much I don't like Instagram as a platform. And I think I'm going to talk about this more in a different video. But I think I just want to highlight right now, I have noticed a difference in how I feel in the past 5 days not looking at Instagram because I just feel so much more focused on what I'm doing and so much more connected to me. Whereas when I'm on social media and I see constantly what other people are doing, I actually feel like I'm doing the wrong thing or I'm just getting distracted and then I'm wasting time watching what other people are doing rather than living my own life. And I think we just need to be so mindful of how we're using social media. Again, I'm here on YouTube and, I have this podcast and obviously I want people to listen to it. But I think, my message is really heart-centered. My message is around, trying to help people connect with themselves and discover what they're truly passionate about and build mindfulness practices that make sense in their lives. And to me, that feels like a good space for me. And again, YouTube is this platform where long form content, it's a little more intentional. You choose what you watch a little more carefully. And that feels good for me. So I think it's about just having a balance and finding what works for you. I know some people absolutely love Instagram, and like, more power to you. If it works for you, great. But I think it's more about like really digging in and determining, does this work for me? And again, when I'm not consuming what everyone else is doing, I genuinely just feel more connected to myself and what I want. And that's really the big section we'll get into later, is how to really know yourself. Because when you know yourself, you can make choices that feel heart-centered and that feel aligned for what you truly want, not all these outside forces telling you to do XYZ. And I would love for you to leave me a comment down below. You know, what kind of social media do you prefer? Do you like longer, short-term content? Like, what platforms are you currently enjoying? Because for me, this has changed and it's ebbs and flows. And so the last thing I want to say on this is a quote from Greg McKeown from the book Essentialism. And he says, "Today, technology has lowered the barrier for others to share their opinions about what we should be focusing on." And it's that keyword should. Everyone else can tell you what they think you should do. And we are so exposed to all these opinions. When we're exposed to all these opinions of other people saying, you should do this, this is the best side hustle, you need to do this to make money, or if you're not making X money per month, then you need to be doing one of these 5 side hustles. And like, you know, there's nothing wrong with learning about different side hustles or learning about different opinions. But again, I think it's like this infinite choices. We have so much information of what we should do that we don't know what we actually should do. Okay, and this leads us to our final section, which is how to really know yourself. So I just want to share that these are practices that have really worked for me and allowed me to disconnect with the opinions of everyone else and connect with myself and be true to myself in making decisions that work for me. And I think truly knowing, you know, how these infinite choices are affecting you takes some self-awareness. It takes some reflection. I think something that's interesting about self-awareness is we all think we're more self-aware than we actually are. And I want to share something on a different episode, but I realized something about myself recently through reading a couple of books that have opened my eyes and are changing my life. We'll need to dig into them. Episode coming soon. But I realized a huge fault, a huge self-deprecating thing that I have, a tendency I have in relationships, friendships, whether it's, you know, love type relationship, friendships, social situations with strangers. I realized something, and I'm not going to share what it is right now, but it blew my mind that I didn't know this, because I think of myself as pretty self-aware, but I had no idea that this pattern was coming up, and it blew my mind. Like, I am still in this process of like going through it and processing it and like trying to change this behavior because it's not healthy. But I was like, holy moly, I did not know this about myself. So this is why self-awareness is something we're always, I think, stepping more into, and reflection is really important. So the first tip I have for connecting with your true self, you know, how do you figure out what you actually want? I mean, definitely through learning, okay? Reading. I've been reading a lot more nonfiction in the past couple of weeks. I was on a fiction kick. I was reading a lot of stories, and that was great. That was fun. But I think getting back into a nonfiction space where I'm just really learning a lot more about things that interest me has been really nice. So I definitely encourage you to read. There's so much access to information just through books. Reading is also a very mindful practice that can help center you. Reading can help you feel more calm, disconnect from your phone, and you can learn something. So I really love reading. I read a lot these days. And yeah, so the book I would recommend is The Way of Integrity. by Martha Beck, and I talked about this book on TikTok. This is the book that is helping me realize all of these things about myself that I didn't know were challenges that I have been facing. And now that it's out there and I realize it, I'm like, holy crap, I need to change this. And it's really awakening me to a lot of things. So that's a great book. Way of Integrity. It's really about how to live with integrity, which means living to your truest self, and how to actually access that part of you. So definitely highly recommend this book. Self-reflection is another great tool. Actually taking time to journal to specific prompts about what is important to you is so helpful to just blocking out the noise and kind of getting to the root of it. So I have created a simple 3-step guide for getting unstuck and discovering your passions. This is a guide that takes you through 3 steps that really dig into what you want out of life. So it helps you reflect, which is to look back, connecting with yourself. It helps you look forward to figure out what you actually want. And it helps you take action and figure out an action plan so you can start implementing some of these new discoveries. So I would love for you to download the free guide and join the Mindset Mastery email list. The link for that is below, mindsetmatterswithvic.com. It's a free guide, and it's really going to help you reconnect with yourself so you can tune out the noise that is social media and the infinite choices and just kind of reconnect with yourself a little bit. I also have ways to work with me one-on-one through my coaching practice, helping people reconnect with their passions, create mindful routines that allow them to live with balance and purpose. You can learn more about my program at mindsetmatterswithvic.com. And I guess the last thing that I want to share is to be mindful about how you're thinking about your situation. Are you experiencing resistance in your life? Are you experiencing really deep feelings of fear and lack and frustration and anger? Because I do think, the mindset piece of everything, how we choose to look at our situation will really affect the state that we're in. So another idea that I'll share with you, and we'll end with this, is framing things as I get to versus I have to. I have to work out. I have to go get groceries. Oh, I have to vacuum. I get to work out. I get to go buy myself groceries and choose what I want to buy. I get to clean my house and have a nice, tidy space that I love. Perspective is everything. So choose to look at life more positively. Choose to frame things as I get to X. I get to explore more about who I really am. I get to shift from this negative place to feeling secure. I get to discover what I'm actually passionate about. I get to fill out the simple step guide so I can actually discover what I want and get unstuck. I get to do that, right? Not thinking about things as, oh, I'm so lost and this sucks and I'll never leave. Like, if that's what you're telling yourself, you're making it harder. So choose to move through this challenging time. Allow yourself to feel it. If you're going through something and you feel stuck, like, it's okay to feel it. It's okay to be stuck, but don't let yourself wallow in it, because the way you choose to look at your situation, the way you choose to see the world, is how the world presents itself to you. If you think that it's a scary, negative, dark place, it's going to be a scary, negative, dark place. But if you think, I can learn and grow from this, personally, I've been going through it the past couple weeks. October has been a really hard month for me, and I'm learning so much about myself through this book, The Way of Integrity. And even through taking a break from Instagram, I'm learning about myself, and I'm reconnecting with what feels heart-centered to me, what is important to me, what do I want out of my life, and I'm making that happen. And it feels good to be climbing out the other side of a dip, right? We all experience ebbs and flows. We all experience dips in life. And so know that this too shall pass, but you can take it upon yourself to help get out of this situation. So please, please, please check out the link below. Subscribe to the channel. Come back and join me, because this is a positive space. Leave a comment. Say hi. I would love for you to like the episode. That helps me out a lot. So I hope this helps anyone out there who's feeling stuck. And I hope you have a beautiful week. I will chat with you very soon. Bye.